All right, we'll go ahead and go into session. The first thing on the agenda. So I'll make a motion.
Yeah, you want.
I'll make a motion that Kurt Fairchild becomes our chair and Clayton Grimmett becomes the co-chair.
Co-chair.
Co-chair?
Or what about
Vice chair.
Vice chair. there you
I'll
go.
take the
Yeah.
co-chair.
Yeah,
I'll
vice
second the
chair.
co-chair.
If we don't get a second,
Do I have
Oh.
a second?
the motion fails.
Yeah, we might be.
Oh, in all fairness, I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
No choice.
I gotta
Alright.
leave this stack of checks, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Now, if you seriously can't sign the checks,
Oh,
Melissa said we could get you a signature stamp, we really don't want to, or we could just have Clay sign.
I can say.
When are you going in for your surgery?
I'm trying to put it off as long as I can.
But it's carpal tunnel.
No, it's just bone against bone in my wrist. and
Oh.
it's- They're gonna fuse it to where I can even use it less. Can't move it very much. Yeah.
Okay, get your chairs all situated.
Oh, you took my agenda though. Okay.
You could do these two, you've got resolutions to do, but that's not a big deal.
Okay, Rob, do you have something for us?
Yeah. It's that time of the year, first of the year for vehicles.
I thought that was all coming in here.
Yes. Those are repair jobs getting fixed from deer accidents throughout the year, it seems like.
You're going with these?
Mhm.
I think
I
Kurt
think you
left
took
those.
Todd or Kurt's stuff, yeah. Whatever.
We made contact with Disa at Marmons, and she worked up the bids for us, like she normally does. There's none on the GMC. She said it wasn't worth her time because they were gonna be way out of price range. And stuff there with the concessions, they just weren't there. So she did 2 Dodges and a Ford. The Dodges were actually 2019 models, but they're new on the lot. And the Ford is a 20. I came in here at one time and mentioned that it looked like the bid was gonna be quite a bit lower. And that was a mistake on her part, because she did concessions, she deducted it twice, and I thought I was gonna get a real, yeah, kinda just bursted my bubble when I found out she made a mistake. They're all within $3,000 roughly. Well, actually, it's $5,000 difference between themselves and so on. I was just gonna see what your ideas are.
Do you have a preference?
Not really, I mean, for the price wise, the Ford is the better buy. I mean, I believe it was $1,300 cheaper. The only deal is that the Rams, they're actually on the lot. We can pick them up within the week and start outfitting them. That's the only good side of it. They're not white, they're darker colored vehicles.
All of them?
The Rams were, and so on. They were white or gray. Most departments are getting away from a unified color anyway, because it's just easier to get them. Sometimes when we try to go to white, we'll have to wait for, everybody wants white, so you have to wait forever to get one.
So what vehicle are you replacing?
It would be Tom's F-150 Ford. I'm not sure exactly the year on that one.
So is there any, does the guy need to stick with the Ford? I mean, the cage and stuff that's in there, or stuff that's in the inside?
The
go
stuff
over?
we've got, if on the Ford side, we'll switch over a lot easier than we would on a Dodge. I mean, there would be a difference, because the bracketings are a little different, everything else. where it is actually the cheaper vehicle.
What year was Tom's?
I'm trying to think,
I could probably tell you just a second.
it is probably a 16
I
or
think
a,
it's 16, but I'm not
I
sure.
think it's a 16.
I need the mileage off of the vehicles too.
Okay.
How many, got any idea how many miles Tom has on there? Are you just kind of on the
Just,
rotation? where
It's
you
on
just-
rotation, and
Okay.
so we try to stay within the rotation. His should probably
It's a,
be over 100,000.
It's a 16.
Normally, that's where everybody is at.
Okay.
it's a 2016.
It's 16, that's what I thought. It'll be approaching 100,000 miles, and they're gonna give 17,000 on the trade-in. Well, that's what she listed on all the way across anyway.
So do we get much of a governmental discount?
Actually, quite a bit, well, what they call it on the rebate package, try to think. Well, the list price, well, on the Bighorn Crew was at 54,000, but after government rates, it goes down to 38,000 with minus the 17 of the trade-in. It goes to 22. I mean, we get probably almost another 10 to 15,000 concessions on them.
So the engines are about the same size.
Roughly the same size, except
The Ford's a
The-
5 liter
and
and
the Hemis
the
are
5.7.
5.7s. And overall, the better priced one is the Ford. The only drawback is we have to wait 3 months for it, but the other ones are on the lot. But yet then we have to change over some equipment, some mounting brackets and things like that to get it outfitted because it doesn't mount up the same as the Fords, or there's too much of a variation where a lot of the equipment cannot be reused.
So it might be easier waiting on the Ford to probably.
It's one or the other. It's just the Ford being cheaper and waiting for the overall, probably with outfitting, it would probably be the cheapest out of all the vehicles.
I mean, am I in a motion
Is,
still?
It's not down
so
there.
the configuration of the cab of this one as opposed to the one that Tom's driving now are basically the same?
Yeah, there's not that much difference because that's what I have a 19
Okay.
Ford and there's not a whole lot of difference at all. But
Yeah.
You good with that?
different bracketings and things like that for right bars and different things. And
I make a motion that we accept the bid for a 2020 F-150 Ford for the Sheriff's Department for $20,931.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to purchase the F-150 Ford for $20,931 difference. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried.
that's really all I have.
Well, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's just one thing at a time.
Carolyn?
Yep.
I guess I just wanted to follow up with some of the discussions we were having before the end of the year about, if some of the accumulated sales tax money might be a way to help pay for getting a master plan concept, preliminary engineering study done for a rail facility that would kind of set the stage for being able to apply for federal grants in the summer of 2020. So I know we've missed the end of the year if general fund money from sales tax would be a potential way of doing this, but I guess the other part of it is that fed into capital improvement funds for 2020. My understanding was the auditor was gonna give you some feedback on how, whether that's an eligible use of those funds, and
You still have that?
I got it.
You got
You
one?
got it?
You made me copies of that.
Yeah.
On
I
this,
can't remember.
on this study, it's basically drawing up plans, right?
yeah.
So you kinda gotta have an idea which piece of ground you're gonna do it with.
Well, yes, I think that would make it more efficient, but they told me that we could approach this in a certain way. They said we can study things all year long if we want to. We can also say, this is the budget, we will deliver within that budget. But then we have to figure out what our priorities are for them to deliver within that budget. If we didn't spend much time talking about site selection, we have more of that dedicated to, the development of this kind of thing. And really, what I'd also like help with is the actual application preparation. They have some people that will do that, and this is gonna be one of those complex applications that could be useful for somebody that has done them before to be a part of it. So, they actually, they could do site selection, but if we already had a site, it would make it more efficient. And I talked, just talking with the representative from there, I kind of expressed the idea that we had about Fifth Street and town already owns.
Yeah.
And she thought that sounded like a really good idea. Now, just informal conversations I've had with different folks, I think that is something that people some traction.
I think that would be a better site out there. I don't know. I don't know what would all be involved as far as closing the road down that goes out there.
And that's what we've been working through in coming months for sure.
I mean, I guess we'd have to talk to the commissioners and see if that's something that we'd be wanting to do. My main deal is, I don't want to seem like we wasted $40,000 because come next September 20th, if there's not an agreement with the water
Oh,
and we cut grain production 50% in Stafford County,
yeah.
I don't want them to be looking back and going, why'd you spend $40,000 when you knew this was coming? And no, nobody wants to put stuff on hold,
Yeah.
but I would think it would be in the best interest that we do have some things that we can be doing, as far as looking and seeing about closing the roads.
Yeah.
Seeing if the railroad would be interested in the siding and helping us with the switching off the deal.
Yeah.
The track and lane tracks to get it out there.
Right.
So I mean, at least me personally, I'd hate to spend that kind of money. I do think that where the store is generating that much sales tax, and then the houses that's been built in St. John, I'm sure they're on the 10-year deal, where they're getting like 90% of their property taxes back.
Neighborhood revitalization.
Yeah,
Oh,
neighborhood
right, right.
revitalization. I mean, that's gonna end up generating more property tax for the county. And I do think economic development has done a very good job, and maybe we ought to look at some of that money that we've been getting off that to put into some kind of a fund for capital outlay, or, for you guys, where it's sitting there. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think we ought to pump the brakes on this 40,000, but I do think that we need to look at putting some money aside to where we don't have to be looking at saying, we want 40,000 out of there this year. If we start putting a little money away to where it doesn't seem like such a big deal.
It would definitely put this beyond, it would be in 2021. We would not be looking at this in 2020.
Yeah. But when would we have to pay the money for it?
In 2020.
Yeah. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we've already, Carl was in here a couple weeks ago that was basically saying if this water deal goes through, you guys got any idea how you're gonna cut 800,000 out of your budget?
Right.
Or if we get the evaluations back down where they should be, we're gonna shorten money that way too. On dry land ground in Stafford County.
Would it be harder to get this done at that time, and that, there would be another way of looking at it.
Yeah,
I know that there's build grant money that is, that's the Federal Department of Transportation. And in rural areas, it's strictly, they don't require match at all. I think you probably, by putting some match money in, can compete better. But strictly speaking, it, you know, can pay for the whole amount. And then the other bigger pot is the Economic Development Administration. And this type of project would be eligible for their funding too. Jerry Moran is chairman of the Commerce Committee that funds that department and has indicated that he would try to be helpful in those kinds of things if we put them forward. So,
Might be a possibility. Yeah, the timing of it doesn't seem too good for a couple of reasons there, but
I
So
think if
the
we come
city-
to some oh, go ahead.
if the city came in and said they'd pay for 20,000 other, that would help.
Right.
But as far as us just cutting loose of 40,000 to do this study, I mean, I feel like we're almost getting the cart ahead of the horse, because even, I think we've got a lot more work that we can do to get there.
I know what you're saying, but I also see the side of things that even the railroad is probably going to want a little more illustration of what we're proposing before they get very serious. I mean, I've already been down that road with the railroad, honestly, you know,
Yeah.
looking back even over the last 5 years or so. I've discussed those kinds of concepts, but that's really all it is a concept. And
I mean, what's you guys' feelings as far as, I think we discussed this a little better, I told you what we've been thinking about, the road that's a half a mile, it's already closed down on the other
you
side of
still got quite a bit
201,
of property though between here and there that you'd have to do something.
but nothing's landlocked, I've looked at the map, it would still have access to a road. There's no 80 in the center that by shutting that road down would landlock any ground.
No, it wouldn't landlock it, but would you have to acquire any land?
I don't know, I mean, what's the right of way?
Yeah, how big a right of way they need?
Yeah,
Be up to the railroad.
but I mean, if you already got 100, I mean, is it 110 foot on a county road?
Those are township roads.
Well, yeah, township road.
I wouldn't think it'd be that wide.
No, those
think
township roads
60
are
foot.
60.
So if it's 60, and I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 circles, you know, I mean, if you get another 50 foot off each side, I mean, that's a
We're kind of
lot.
back in the same thing we were with the airport though, really, you know, you're gonna have to do something to acquire a little bit of ground. If you gotta buy it right away, you're gonna have to get along with everybody along the way.
Yeah, but I mean, I think people would be a lot easier to get along with than trying to, you know, we're talking about maybe buying 10 acres. And the other way, doing it south of town, we're looking at buying 110 acres, when we don't even know if they wanna sell it. I mean, this looks like a cheap way of being able to get a quarter that we already own. And we've already owned 60 foot of it. And if we run one track out there, 2 tracks, I think they can do that on 100 foot. So that'd be an extra 25 feet, and where you're not even talking about,
I think it'd be worth looking
interfere.
into. It'd be better than any other idea I've seen.
so do we need to have Phil come in at some point and say what would be involved in that? Do we have to have the township agree to close them down? I mean, if we're looking at it widening it out, you know, if we got 25 feet on each side, that makes it 110 foot wide. I don't know how wide the railroad right-of-ways are now, but I mean, I would think that that's not going to interfere with the irrigation systems.
Probably not.
It's a lot
Especially if they
different.
didn't have an income.
Yeah. Or just take, but I mean, it's a lot better option than trying to cut
Oh, I
across the
agree.
spare circle out here where it's going to interfere with the pivot.
It'd be,
But you know, economic
less.
development has generated a lot of property tax income. And I'm not sure where that money, I don't know how we can even budget for that property tax money, whether it's just money that's sit into a fund. and then the year it's laid over into capital outlay, because you really can't budget for something that's a variable.
Are you talking about sales tax?
Yeah, sales tax, and the property tax, I guess, is a locked fee deal. That was my thoughts.
I think it's worth looking into.
The way I look at it is that if we're gonna have all this gloom and doom, water valuations and all that, we're gonna have to be a little proactive and try to find something to generate more revenue for the county. If we sit here and not do anything, then it's just, we're just kicking the can down the road. Oh, we'll wait till next year. All right, next year, what's next year gonna bring? Is the water issue gonna go away? Are they gonna get it resolved? She did say something about borrowing the money and paying it back. I would think that maybe the city of St. John, it would benefit them as well, probably more than the county. Could kick in something.
I mean, I'd be very willing to approach them with kind of a proposal that if they would share the cost of this, and that's also kind of sharing the political side of it too. If you're talking about, you know, the idea of is this the right timing of things? I mean, I'd be more than willing to bring that idea up to them.
Now, is this 40,000 just the best guesstimate, or is it,
The way she left it with me is that if you have a budget like that, we will deliver within that budget. We'll just have to decide how to prioritize what they do.
Do you think she should go back to the city and see what they're willing to do, or should we come up with something first? But if you decide to do this, I mean, are you gonna just tell them, figure it on the sanding land out there, quarter, and then we'll worry about trying to get the tracks out there?
Well, that would be one way of doing it.
Because, I mean, until we know exactly what we need to do out there. But you know, when you talk about borrowing money, if the store's already generated $75,000 or $80,000 in sales tax money, that money's somewhere. I mean, I don't know what fund that money's went into,
My understanding it goes into the general fund.
Yeah, it's all together.
so I mean, it ought to be there.
Yeah, it doesn't get separated out.
It builds up your cash reserves is what it does,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you approach the city? But I agree that rather than purchase land, that'd be the best idea if we can make it work. And I don't think that'd be a huge deal to shut down the road. I'm just a little worried about the landowners.
Yeah.
It's one of the few sections that has a township road at the half mile as opposed to.
And
so,
it used to go on across 281, and then they've already shut that one down. It used to go a mile past, and they've shut that down.
I have one question. Do you envision the Port Authority doing anything?
Well, the Port Authority, yeah, I think ultimately, it's the logical entity to manage and own it, but it doesn't have a penny to, I mean, it doesn't have a checking account. It's got the legal authorization. We named a board which hasn't met. We never, honestly, a Port Authority could be established just like, kind of like what they're doing with the Extension District, to be its own taxing entity. But we never went to that step.
That does get to go to a vote, correct?
I believe it
think
does.
I think it
Yeah.
does.
So,
Well, it does have
and
eminent domain.
just as the county does, yeah, I mean, the process for that is so long. It's not the leading reason to use
No,
the
I don't know.
Port Authority. It's just the idea that we didn't go to the step of taxing first and then figuring out how to develop at least on the taxes. We tried to kind of figure out how we could approach it with a business being on board and grant funding to get it started. So I looked at the the build grants, the Department of Transportation, and what Hayes did in one of its, they got one, and the city of Hayes applied for it, but later they assigned it to, I forget now what entity, but it looked to me like they were able to allow another, so what I would like to look into is whether the county could be the applying entity for that grant and then assign it to the Port Authority to get to that stuff.
That's kind of what I wondered, if the Port Authority might have a place in there.
You
So
know-
that it wasn't totally on us.
Well, yeah, but, you know, right now the Port Authority wouldn't be a good entity to apply for big money because again, it doesn't have any assets or any track record. I mean, economic development, I mean, at this point can turn in audited financial statements that show a net worth of $5 million. It's probably not, you know, what market value really would be of the assets it has, but it shows an entity that's got some, you know, I don't know, credibility about it. And the Port Authority doesn't have that.
Unless we sent 40,000 to the Port Authority just to do this study.
To do the study, but it still, I don't think would be a good entity to apply for federal funding.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if there was
I
any.
mean,
Or,
even if I don't know, even if economic development did it, applied for, I can look into what strictly is eligible. With a piece of public infrastructure, it really might be appropriate that the county is the applicant.
who did the study on the biodiesel?
I don't know. I don't,
And then on the airport, that was from a grant, right?
Olson did the study.
Yeah.
On the airport, and
But that money-
that was 95% paid for by Kansas Department of Transportation. And it's the same engineering company that I've talked to about this. Part of my thinking is that, you know, if they're designing something that utilizes the county land, maybe they can design it with the first piece of design in mind as well, so that if the track are oriented on the west side of that quarter, it still leaves the option open over time of developing the airport if that's what, you know, at some point somebody decides that's what you want to do.
Well, I think that piece of ground down there is a prime location because the access to 281 as well as 50 and the railway. All we need now is big air jet transports to land and FedEx put in a facility.
Take up the whole order.
I do like the idea of having it out there, it's away from town, and I think you'd have less
Yeah.
complaints. You have better road access.
You'll have a few complaints about closing down that road, I think,
But nobody lives on it.
but I know, I'm just telling you what's gonna happen, but it's, I don't think they need it either.
I'm sure the township wouldn't be disappointed if they didn't have to maintain it anymore.
Oh,
And is
I
that
figured at one point what the township they would be the ones that get a windfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Because
is
they
that,
don't opt into neighborhood revitalization.
is that the deal where, if we just made a request to the township to turn that over to a county road, and that way we could close it when we wanted to? You know, because if this is all gonna be 10 years down the road, the county might as well take that road and grade that 2 miles, but then at any point we wanted to, we could close it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know if we wanna do that yet, but.
I mean, that'd be something that we'd like to talk to Phil about. Because we can't really make plans and studies not knowing,
I know.
If the
we should,
town-
yeah.
yeah. I don't know how that works, you know, if the township says that's our road, we don't want to shut it down, the county says we want to. I don't know how that works.
For what, I don't know if the trustees have changed in, it's been a long while. But looking back to when Consolidated Grain and Barge was kicking around here, I met with those trustees and I don't remember what exactly it was that I needed from them at the time, but they were agreeable to working with me on it.
It'd be even better now.
Yeah. One of them resigned and we appointed, was that two
Bryce
meetings,
Ron
two
resigned,
meetings
yeah.
ago?
Ron resigned, so.
Okay, Ron, I do remember meeting with Ron and Ellis, yes.
And, Kurt Beasley.
Back then, it was probably Kevin Davis.
I did have a call.
It was Kim and,
Kurt?
and,
Ron
Ron, that
Richardson.
I remember being in my office at one point.
But as far as if we're wanting to start looking at taking some of that money and putting it into a fund, whether we put it, give you guys an extra $5,000 or $10,000 a year, whether that goes into your fund to where you can start putting that aside for these projects, or whether we put that into a new fund, we'd have to discuss that during the budgeting.
Well, we can only give economic development one bill. That's set by statute,
So
or by
if-
resolution.
We'd have to have our own fund.
So would we start
We
a
would-
fund or
I would
just?
have to talk, excuse me, to Melissa,
Yeah,
because you can't just willy-nilly set funds up.
yeah.
We would have to have authority to do it.
Or do we just let it go into the same fund that it's going in now?
The
Because
capital
she's,
improvement fund,
yeah,
well, it's fine to keep it there. I
Yeah.
mean,
and I mean, whether we just kind of keep a running total, I mean, we know that it's generating money, so I feel like economic development is entitled to some of that money back to help.
We just need at budget time to make sure we build in a transfer in county general, which typically we don't, in that fund. And we can transfer it into capital improvement and then it'll be there.
Okay.
But,
Talk to Melissa about that.
that honestly would be the easiest way for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of on the same page, it's just, I don't think it's gonna happen now. You know, if the city would come, I would like you to talk to the city,
Okay.
you know, and maybe we can do 20,000. But as far as the whole 40, I think that's something that we need to budget for and talk about over a while.
Okay.
And by getting it done that way, then but I also agree with Clay, I mean, you can't just be putting stuff off.
It's a tough spot we're in.
Yep.
Not very good timing.
Although,
It is,
we're a little better off than some of the western counties.
We
Yeah.
are
Counties.
very fortunate. We haven't borrowed any money, we don't have any bonds out, we're good.
We're not in debt except for,
The ambulance,
The ambulance.
got one more payment on it, and
That's
it's
not
out
really
this
good.
year. And it's only 30,000.
Yeah, it just scares me to death of us trying to buy that ground out there. I would much rather do this. And if we did end up or have this study, I mean, I think that would have been a great place to have a wind turbine blade storage facility.
We
Well, there you
tried,
go, once you get the infrastructure, it may not just be ag that is the thing that it, runs off of over time. You know, we've gone through a warehouse, there's, I got an email just yesterday on a company that was looking for a site, and I don't have anything to present as an option, so the timing today feels uncomfortable, but it might be also the other side of it is if they can come to some agreement the next few months in Quivira, we're in a good position to say we're ready to jump too, or maybe that's the time that a grain company says, okay, this is the time to invest.
I think we've got some things we can do to getting ready for it, talking to the city.
Talk to the city.
Need to talk to Phil, start laying some groundwork. You know, when I was over there talking to Rural Foot, he said, we talked about this a little bit, and he said that, what do they call those connexes? The big boxes they put on the railroads and then
oh, a container.
container deals.
Yes.
He said they have them trucked out of Kansas City down to Hudson, fill them,
And take
ship
it
them
back.
back to Kansas City to set them on a train.
oh,
Isn't that a huge expense?
yeah.
No, I think, I kind of joked for, if we can get this going, I think I would make my full-time job really work, selling this essentially to the businesses in the region. I think there's a lot of there's no one business that I could point to that has enough volume to justify the investment, but if you've kind of got a port that they can all, it's kind of like, you know, getting on the airport, or airplane at an airport, you don't, you just buy the ticket for your part of the trip, you know? You know, I talked with somebody at Dune Truck one time, they're looking for more efficient ways to position their products outside of the region. There's,
It's pretty inefficient.
I think there's,
Do you
Well,
have
that-
anything for us, Mike?
I don't,
Okay.
but I have a 9 o'clock hearing upstairs, there's Keely's waiting for me, so I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just gonna let you know. But I do need to talk to you individually, and I do need to talk to you individually.
Okay.
But nothing as far as, and I'm just gonna be upstairs, I'll be back. If you guys need something,
I,
Do you want me to go downstairs whenever I get done? Okay.
I'll find you, you find me, we'll find each other.
Okay.
I've told this story several times. That I had a friend that drove a container truck and he had cowhides. And he'd either go to Dodge or he'd go to Liberal. And he'd drive to Argentina and go to the terminal there. 2 days later, that same terminal, or that same container, went right here through Stafford County on its way to Long Beach to
Mhm.
go to China to be manufactured into gloves and then didn't come back.
yeah.
And I thought, you know, if there was a spot,
Mhm.
then this would be prime, where they wouldn't have to drive the 200 and how many miles it is to Argentine to the terminal.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think even some of our existing businesses will become at a greater disadvantage relative to other parts of the country if we don't evolve our transportation methods the same way they are in other places, so. I mean, it's kind of like my friend at Dune Trailer, she was talking about how, you know, a lot of their customers are Illinois, further east. And some of it, they're losing some of the, or I don't know if I should maybe say that they're losing some of the business, but she's finding it harder to get her trailers to where the customers are on demand, and she's seeing that some of their competitors are positioning their products. It's kind of like what we saw at the warehouse at Wichita. They're positioning their products at, you know, they're not warehouses, they're outside, but, you know, warehouse facilities, so that they are close to where the customers are, and the delivery is just a short transfer as opposed to an individual drive to the customer. I think that concept applies to a lot of products more and more. If we can kind of find a way to fill that gap in a regional, I mean, we'll just be small compared to a lot of them, but if we can kind of, there's not anything else in central Kansas that's offering that really. So.
I think we're all on the same page, it's just the timeline. Our timelines are different.
Okay, so I'll talk to the city and
Yeah.
we'll meet in 2 weeks, so I'll come back then.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
thanks, Carolyn.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes for the December 27th meeting.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve the minutes of December 27th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Did you see this, Kurt? Another resignation.
Want to do this? I make a motion, we accept John Merritt's resignation from North Stewardship Township Treasurer.
I'll second that.
Yeah, we have a motion second to approve the resignation of John Merritt from North Seward Township Treasurer. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried. Do you have any
I
thoughts on
talked to,
replacing him?
Matt Fisher called me, and and said that he had talked to, look for the guy's name, Jeff Stump about taking this position. And I called Jeff Stump last night, he agreed. So I would make a motion that we appoint Jeff Stump as treasurer for, which township is it?
North Seward.
For North Seward.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion to second to appoint Jeff Stump as North Seward trustee. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Who is Jeff Stump?
Remember Stacy Fisher?
Oh, yeah. Oh, all right, okay. All right.
He seemed like a very nice guy.
That'd be a good guy.
I had a phone call after we appointed Bryce onto the board there by one of the board members, and they said, did you guys want somebody on there? I said, yeah, and he goes, well, I thought that was our deal to come up with somebody, and I said, well, no, we had somebody approach us, said they'd like to be on there.
It's our deal.
Pardon?
It's our deal.
It might not be a bad idea next time to at least run it by the board or know the board. He kind of felt a little blindsided because they had no idea about going on there. I mean, it might be a good idea to postpone it a week until the board knows what's going on. He kind of hates to stick somebody, I think it'll be a good fit, but you'd hate to stick somebody on there that doesn't get along with the board. I don't know.
He's not gonna be on there very high.
Yeah.
And there's a election coming up, if they change that.
Okay, I've got
Yikes.
the resolutions for banking, cash basis accounting, and the newspaper.
You guys have a copy of that?
No,
No.
there's just one copy. I didn't do one for the mileage. We still pay 48 cents a mile, which, if you want to change it, I can do one real quick. We haven't changed it in years, so. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No. Not gonna get any kickback from doing any of them, are we?
I don't think so.
St. John News ever approached you on doing that?
You know, I reach out to them and I don't get anything back. I don't get any feedback. It's,
I don't think it's St. John News anymore. I
David's
think it's
really
the
good to
Pride.
work with. He's local. I, like I said, I didn't even pursue St. John.
He just cuts and pastes, so,
Well, and that's
yeah.
honestly better than the St. John.
Mhm.
St. John's paper is turning to crap.
Oh, I know. Todd wasn't here when the world blew up, the first meeting that Shane and I were there.
Yeah.
The whole world blew up now.
I'm glad that I missed out on all that deal, because that was kind of a guy that's kept stirring the pot, wasn't
He kept a notebook.
it? Really?
Yeah. Trying to
He was a
catch it.
reporter.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, can I do these all at once?
Mhm.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 2020-3, 2020-2, 2020-1.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolutions 20-1 through 20-3. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried.
The refrigerator on the fourth floor has quit after, I don't know how many years.
The next one won't last as long.
No. If it's okay with you, we really need one up there. It's quite handy sometimes. I'll purchase it, plain Jane for up there. Okay.
At the lodge, we like to use Great Bend Appliance because
That's where we buy too.
they deliver and haul off.
Yes, yeah, I'm gonna go up there Saturday.
Yeah.
I need a new stove at home, so it'll work out great. Anyway, okay. This year, you all have a copy of the holiday schedule in front of you. This is something that some counties do. They set their holidays at the beginning of the year so that everybody knows, everybody's on the same page. We've never done this. I don't know. What do you think?
That's a good idea.
Okay, now, my question is, Friday is Christmas Day this year. Christmas Day falls on Friday this year. I went ahead and put in Christmas Eve off. The rest of these are standard with what we've done in the past. The only thing I questioned was that Christmas Eve one, which, I mean,
That can't be right till you got Thursday there on Thanksgiving
oh,
Day.
yeah, Thursday and Friday. Anyway, let me change that real quick.
Yeah.
Or if you want anything else changed, if you don't want to do this, I don't know. Thursday and a Friday. I don't know.
I'm fine with it. I think it'd be good to be able to know. If I were an employee, I'd appreciate that.
I thought maybe you guys wanted to change your Christmas, New Year schedule to like the extension office.
No,
You don't want to take 10 days off?
no,
No.
we cannot take 10 days off. Not at the end of the year. I don't know how they do that. But like I said, it's pretty standard with everything we usually take off. We don't do Good Friday here.
Which I've been asked several times.
Yes, me too. Some counties, this is kind of cool what they do. They take Good Friday afternoon off and they go around and collect canned goods for the food banks, which I don't know about that, but I just thought that was a really cool idea.
I have a hard time envisioning DG going there and knocking on doors.
DG will be gone after the rest of this happens. Y'all gotta remember that.
Yeah.
He's kind of becoming a non-factor. So,
Are you guys all good with the holiday schedule? Do you want to go ahead, let's go ahead and approve this?
let me print it, one that's correct, because I have a date on here wrong.
Okay.
I'd rather do that than come back in a couple weeks before so can we give them an extra one off? No, we're great.
13 paid holidays.
Well, you count New Year's Day again. It's 20, I mean, in 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You
I
got
see what
something
you're
else
saying.
wrong?
No.
No.
No, I
Just
said
had New
12,
Year's
and he
Day
said
on there
13,
twice.
but he.
Well, I put 2021.
Yes.
Clay had to straighten me out.
Let's see, why can't, oh, there's my printer. Okay. Look at that real quick.
Okay, we have a motion on the holiday schedule.
I make a motion that we accept the Stafford County holiday schedule for 2020.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve the holiday schedule for 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, we have a minimum maintenance road request in, the Cleveland
Yes.
Township? Yeah. Have you been approached about any of this since it's your district? I don't know that they've talked to the landowners, I don't know,
Is that the road we went out and looked at?
No,
no.
No?
Mm-mm.
it's close.
It's down in that corner. So I don't know if you want to move on this, or you want to wait, typically in the past, I think we waited and talked to the landowners.
I'd check that one out.
I'm assuming the township board has, but like I said, I didn't talk to any of them, so I don't know.
I'll ask you.
Oh, it's north-south.
Yeah.
We looked at the east-west.
Yeah.
But it's right there
On
beside
the
you.
wall,
We looked at this road right
Yeah.
here, or no, we looked at this road here.
yeah,
Pretty close. I'm sure it fits.
and the little wild horse.
Yeah.
Okay, Southwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging is again asking for $800 contribution.
For membership, or?
We've just always given them $800.
And who's that for?
Southwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging, they're out of Dodge City.
We've done that forever now.
Yeah, so I've just.
Is that any higher than what it was?
No.
It's been $800 for years, so. I copied you guys off the core information. They're gonna be here on the 22nd. I just wanted to get that to you beforehand. I'm assuming they're gonna be asking for money as well. She didn't say, but they came last year and, we kind of put them off till
What did we tell them?
that you would take it up later.
After the first of the year.
So, but they're on the agenda for the 22nd, and Todd's gone the 29th. So,
Had Phil talked to us about doing a tour, looking at something?
We talked about it, but that was what time is it?
the,
I thought Phil had sent us out a text or something.
That was on the board meeting.
Oh, yeah, that was the township,
board
yeah.
meeting.
the
That's what that was.
township, dinner,
It's the 22nd.
22nd.
I have a paper somewhere, I did. You all will be there, correct?
Yep.
The
For
22nd.
22nd at
Sure.
noon?
For a chicken fried steak, you bet.
I
Is that on
was-
Wednesday?
22nd.
Yeah.
So you're gonna talk to the landowners, or?
Ask Joe if he has talked to all the landowners.
Okay.
Is it Joe on the board?
Yeah, Joe's on
Yeah,
board.
okay.
Joe's the
I
clerk.
mean, if you want to do that.
No, you probably talk to Joe more than I do.
I don't care. I mean, I can if you.
Yeah, I'd just soon you do that.
You just wanna table that till next time?
Yeah, tell Kirk can talk to Joe. But I mean, if the landowners on each side of that are fine, and then somebody comes in and goes, well, I drive down that road once in a while, is that
That's why
kind
you
of
have
up?
your protest hearing. You have a hearing date.
But it's still up to us,
Yes,
if we think it's a legitimate
kinda like that
concern.
Sallee stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally up to
And
you.
it's minimum maintenance, right?
I'd rather look at it though before I just shut it down too.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is just minimum maintenance. They're not asking to close it,
Yeah,
but,
sign these.
I'll bet you, no.
I'm pretty sure, I think we drove down there, and it looked like minimum maintenance.
It's been minimum maintenance for quite a while.
But I don't exactly know what minimum maintenance means. I mean,
It-
they
it-
still have to maintain it a little bit.
yes, it
Drag it
just
twice a year.
means,
Now, what advantage, I don't know what advantage that gives them now.
Does it reduce some of
it reduces
liability?
them a liability,
Okay.
basically. If you head down a minimum maintenance road, you
It's
know
a
it's not gonna
minimum
be
maintenance
in
road
Yeah.
already.
good condition.
And I don't think
basically.
you have to remove snow off of it too. I think that's part of the deal.
You just have to keep it passable.
Yeah.
I mean, if the weeds grow up in the middle of the road, that's passable, I guess.
The township's hardly recognized.
Until the weeds knock out your grill.
Yeah, then you have a
10 years ago.
problem.
As far as,
The roads were horrible.
yeah. So, I know Cooter, what's his name?
No, Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson was driving patrol there towards the end of the year. Everett used to do it.
Well, yeah, Everett's been sick, so Larry was,
I mean, have they hired Larry full-time, or?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Because one of those circles that I farm over there stops, that road got graded one time last year.
Yeah, it's scary driving over there.
And they definitely have some sandy roads that need a lot of care.
Yeah, I took somebody, we were gonna, took cousins that were gonna go show them where Vonnie used to live. Couldn't even find it. I said, we are not going any further. I used to drive down this road, it's a good road, man.
Yeah, right there where Adrian Sailor, if you went down that road, once you get past where Adrian Sailor used to live, you better have a four-wheel drive.
I know, that was, I said, this is unbelievable, we're not going down there. Anything else?
Have you heard anything about when they're gonna start the building up there?
We should do that. We almost gotta let the school park our stuff for another
I
year.
know.
I kinda hate that.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, they got it figured out.
We're not gonna do races this year.
We could talk about it.
Is that something we have to discuss at the budget time, or?
Well, it should have been brought up at budget time.
Do we have room to do that?
I would have to look.
2%?
Typically, we just go like $50 a month
Yeah.
across the board. It's a bit more fair than a percentage using that scale. But it's totally up to you guys. We just need to start working on it. If you're thinking that way, if you're not, we're not gonna waste our time with it.
It's been 2 years. We didn't do it last year.
Did we do it last year?
I think it's been 2 years.
I think it's been 2.
I think we ought to talk about it, see what your budget looks like, see whether, but you think whether we got room to do a small one?
Are you thinking like $50 a month again, or?
Yeah.
I think that
I'm not, yeah.
is
let's-
reasonable. And you said we've got about 50 employees, right? We're close to 50 employees.
Full-time, yes. That's what we hover around.
That's
Counting-
inclu- that's
counting all the
including
elected.
Commissioners too.
Yeah.
Pardon?
That's including the
Yes.
commissioners.
I think the commissioners need a raise.
Oh,
Um, We'll start working on it, and I'll get some numbers together, because we'll need to know probably next meeting.
Yeah.
So we can get pay scales changed.
It's $21.50 a month. $50, 50 employees.
So it'd be 30,000 for the year.
Most
24,
budgets will be able
25,
to absorb that, I mean, it's not.
So that comes out of the department's budgets? not
Yes,
out of
the
general?
salary line items.
Okay.
What was the cost of living increase that we had from the state under the property tax, like the 1.2 or something like that?
Doesn't you mean the CPI? Wasn't it 2.1?
No, I think it was under
I don't
2.
Was it under?
I think it was under 2.
I don't know if it's on the budget or not.
That should be on there. I thought it was like 1.2 or 1.3. It wasn't very much.
Well, we gave an increase on Social Security, but then they increased Medicare, so.
I haven't got signed up yet, so.
Yeah,
No, they're gonna sign me up after my birthday. They're too
but
busy.
you have a birthday coming up, don't you? When is it?
It's 14th, this week, I guess.
You
Try to
guess?
forget about that.
Okay, why don't
I know I gotta
So
go.
how old are you, 65? 60, 65?
They wouldn't sign me up till after my birthday. They're that busy.
you?
14th, 16th, 21st, and 25th birthdays were the most important birthdays. The rest of them,
The 65 was there important.
yeah.
Not for Medicare.
Consumer price index for calendar year 1.5.
1.5 for 2019.
That's, well, use the 2018 average for the 2020
29.
budget, is
Yeah.
what she did.
1.5.
1.5.
Is, what was
Is
it?
a CPI.
That was the
1.5
cost of living
CPI.
increase was 1.5%.
So,
Might figure that up and see kind of, and then to change it, convert it over to,
1.5%.
and then convert that over to the same for everybody.
Okey dokey. That's all I've got.
Could I get a copy of the meetings with minutes we've approved?
All of them?
No, just this, the one we approved today.
Oh.
That has all the transfers on it.
I can give you a copy of the draft, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just mainly want the
Oh,
copy
the
of the
transfers?
transfers.
That's last month's. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have anything else?
Nope.
I'm done.
Lynn? Mike? Okay, we'll adjourn.